Okay. Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Hangover. I am Alex Brown.
My name is Graham Garber.
Today we are going to be discussing the Batman and what that might mean for the future of not only DC superhero movies, but also just superhero movies in general. So Graham, what were your thoughts on Matt Reeves as the Batman?
Honestly, that movie, I enjoyed watching it. There were definitely some things that were new and that were not original, but I really enjoyed it. That was probably one of my favorite Batmans to date. Honestly, I know a lot of people enjoyed The Dark Knight. That's their Batman. I don't know, Batman, the DC movies I've never been too heavily in love with to some extent. And so I've never picked a favorite or anything, but I don't know, watching this, the Batman, it was really well done in my opinion. I don't know, I just liked he just didn't I think the biggest thing I liked about it, my favorite part about Batman, Bruce Wayne, is he wasn't the rich playboy Batman kind of aspect. He was really just he was depressed. It was dark. He kept himself shut inside. He was I don't know. It was definitely a new take we've seen on Batman. We've seen Batman in tough times, but man was hurt. He did not care about Bruce Wayne. He cared about being Batman.
Bruce Wayne wasn't a thing.
Yeah, no, he didn't care if he lost everything. He could lose the tower. He could lose his money. He couldn't. He then
other than family, but
Alfred was dope.
But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Dope. Yeah, but no, that's kind of hands down probably my favorite Batman to date. Mm-hmm. Honestly.
I had to see it twice.
Yeah,
because after the first time, I hated it. After the first time, and that was due to a couple of reasons, a couple of very poor experience reasons that caused me to not like it.
What do you mean?
I will say, it's partially my fault.
Because you let me buy the tickets.
A, because I let you buy our tickets, but B, because for some reason, when we went to eat before, the thought that it was a 3-hour movie didn't fully process in my head.
Yeah, you left. You went to the bathroom.
So I had a lot to drink.
Yeah.
I had 3 or 4 sodas. And I went to the bathroom before the movie started, but then 30 minutes in, I was oh no, I have to go. Yeah. And that made it the longest 3 hours of my life, especially because I couldn't sit like a normal person. And I want to give you a chance to defend yourself because you ordered, we went to an early showing, fan experience thing in IMAX, and so we spent $25 a ticket.
It was a little up there, yeah.
We drove
2.5 hours, 2 hours,
2 hours to go to this theater to see in IMAX. And when Graham ordered the tickets, I said, "Hey, Graham, where are our seats at?"
Okay, so
and he said, "Oh, don't worry, they're towards the back."
Because that's how I've always purchased tickets. I sit in the back. You sit in the back. You see everything.
Right.
Especially with the IMAX, you're not going to want to be up front.
So then we got there, and you said, "Oh, sorry guys, I was wrong. We're actually in the back row." And I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever." And so we get there, and we were not in the back row. We were in the front row.
Yeah. Because so when I looked at we'll try and put a picture up maybe, but when you are on the app, it shows a seating chart of all the chairs. Okay. Well, when you see the top and the bottom, I always see the screen at the bottom because that's always at the bottom, front, you'd walk down to the seats, to the theater, and the chairs at the very top of the picture is where you would sit because the chairs are always elevated up. I thought that was the chart. It's not. No. It can be.
So here's the thing. This is the same explanation you gave me when I was livid and we were sitting in the front row of an IMAX theater. So then, and then you pulled it up and you said, "No, see, look what I'm talking about."
And yes, the chart makes sense. The chart, how I describe it, makes sense. You kind of understand that. You're listening and you're I kind of understand that.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense because
at the top of the chart, it tells you where the screen is.
It tells you which top bottom screen. So yeah, we were literally dead center. Up front,
and it was sold out. We
were gonna move. We were just gonna be dude, it's not sold out. We'll move chairs. We'll go up a couple rows.
I was so close to just standing in the doorway, but I figured I would get in trouble, so I didn't do that. But yeah, so
and there was like 7 of us too. It wasn't even
for
like it was
a
like,
movie where like half of what makes it so good is the
Visuals,
cinematography and like the technical aspects of it. The fact that I couldn't really appreciate that without turning my head 90 degrees in both directions. And also that I really had to pee the entire time.
I didn't do that. That's your fault.
That was my fault. I did not like it. But I went and saw it again the next day. No, we saw it early. I saw it like that opening night on that Thursday. And I enjoyed it a lot more. I thought it was, like you said, it was a very different take than what we've seen before. I think my like most controversial, unpopular opinion is the Nolan movies are fine. Like The Dark Knight is not the greatest movie of all time. Like I feel like most people seem to make it out to be. So I would agree that I think this is my favorite Batman. I don't know that it's the best one. There are definitely a few flaws with it. But overall, it was super enjoyable on the whole. Despite the fact, even like after watching it and not having to pee the entire time, I thought it was a little poorly paced. I would have liked to see more
action
riddles. I think not having as much action was fine, just because that was
just kind of
that wasn't really what this was.
Right.
I mean, even if you read like a comic book, most of the time, like you'll have 3 or 4 issues of just random things happening, and then you'll have one issue where it's the entire thing is action.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that the action was fine, and I think the action was actually really. It was one of the most interesting pieces of action I've seen. Like just because it was the most realistic. Mm-hmm. Like every fight scene could have been like actually worked out the way it was. Like it felt slow and bulky. And the thing I really, really liked was that if there were multiple guys, they didn't like take turns to fight.
Yeah, like someone was on top of him.
They would all jump on him like you would if you were actually in
like
that situation.
Trying to fight one person, right.
Right. So I thought the action was really well done. But I think my biggest pet peeve was that half of the movie was spent on like finding out who the rat was.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't even.
And I think overall, I think really the biggest issue was trying to use Catwoman too much. I think Zoe Kravitz did a really great job at Catwoman.
She was dope.
She's my favorite like interpretation of the character on screen. But as you're going through the movie, like you saw one of these riddles, and he figures out the rat is Falcone or whatever, and then it turns into like this weird revenge story for Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah,
and I don't really care about Catwoman right now. This is the Batman movie, and I care about what's going on with Batman and solving out who the Riddler is. Not let's go get revenge on Falcone for some reason. But then the problem is like,
I mean, it kind of
from a like a structure standpoint, like the movie's building and building and building, and then when like he stops Zoe Kravitz from killing Falcone, like that is like the climax. Like that felt like a climax to the movie.
Yeah,
and I was like, but wait, there's still another 40 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
they could have ended. They should have ended it.
And it's like, oh wait, the Riddler's here. That's who we're actually like supposed to be like dealing with, and not
like ending the movie with.
Yeah, there's just like a weird like 30-minute period that just slowed the movie, like just slowed it down to 0.
It just felt like they didn't know how to end it, or they had several ways they could have ended it. They just didn't want to pick one. Like because you could have gone any direction. You could have ended it, like right after they like arrest Falcone and they like take him away.
I don't think that would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah,
but
like also like here's the, like I am glad they did the whole like Riddler in the prison part. Like at the end, I'm glad we saw that at the end. And I like the little tease part with the Joker. Now that whole thing itself should have been just a post-credit scene.
There was no I don't know why that was in the movie. And there wasn't a post-credit.
It shouldn't have been. No, there was no purpose whatsoever. And that wasn't even like the last thing you saw in the movie, was it? Because it.
No,
I didn't think so.
Because then they go to the graveyard.
Yes, yeah, like that's. Yeah, that I would say the pacing wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. I really did like though the fact that he was like. I don't know. When everyone's like calling him like a vigilante and stuff, like normally like most vigilantes when they're portrayed as like they are like kind of like they're not too tight with the law. And obviously he wasn't. He was just really tight with Gordon. But like Like, you wouldn't ever, like, walk onto a crime scene. Like, Batman, sure. And he had his ties, he had his connections, but you're not going to, like... I liked the whole detective aspect. Like, that was one of my favorite parts. He actually got to, like, interact with things and, like, pick up on clues and pick up on hints and, like, things like that. But I don't know. I
thought I was okay with that. I mean, it's a Batman movie, so, like, there's certain things you just kind of have to...
just go with. You have to understand, yeah. Which, he's 2 years in, so, like, obviously, like... The cops haven't gotten him yet, so at some point
that's one element I did like too, was like how he was still a super like mysterious figure that no one really knew like what to think of yet. Like some of them trust him, some others.
It would have been like 2 years.
Right. It's only been like
a
little bit since he's been operating.
That's true. Yeah. No, but I am glad that he got to do like more detective, because like honestly, like the pacing wasn't like. I had no problem with it. I know like a lot of the reviews when like it first came out, like people said it was slow. Like it didn't have too much action. But I mean, like, you're right. Like the action was pretty well based. I don't think they should have done more necessarily, or like
I would have done less. I would have liked more in a superhero movie just because that's what I'm used to seeing. But
but I'm actually like I'm glad like, and like by action, like I'm not talking like explosives. Like obviously like the Batmobile scene, that was cool, and for that to be like legit practical effects, like an actual explosion, like that's dope.
Mm-hmm.
But like also like I'm just talking about like he's just like literal fist fight. Like that man just beat the crap out of people. Like I mean he
did not care.
He didn't hold back at all. No, and like probably my favorite scene out of the entire thing that I can like just picture in my head was when he was in. I don't even actually know where he's like pushing through, but he's like fighting all the dude like with the guns. He doesn't use guns, but like it goes dark. He takes out the lights, and then you just see all the muzzle flashes because that was also like real shots. Like that was so like not real, but they were blanks. But it was like it looked so good, and the only light that they used in that scene was literally from those guns. That turned out so well. Like I'm like that was crazy. It's like that. That's probably my favorite scene. But like
reminded me a lot of like Daredevil.
Yeah,
like just how
he used the darkness to his advantage. Kind of
Well, and I don't know. I also like how they touched on that too. With like, I think the first two scenes in the movie are like two of the greatest opening scenes for a superhero movie ever. Like,
man, clunking down the stairs.
Well, like just like you see like the Riddler or whatever. And like that was such a great introduction where, like, there's very subtly kind of building the world with the newscasts going on, and like you're figuring out what's happening, and then like the Riddler just out of nowhere pops up.
Right.
And immediately it like triggers this thing where you're watching like all of the shadows, like where is he? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, is he going to kill this guy? And then it cuts to a very similar thing with Batman giving a monologue where it's the exact same thing where he's saying, watch the shadows. Like I might be there. And you're seeing everyone else watch the shadows, which I thought was a really cool like parallel to draw between the two. Like obviously Batman is good and the Riddler is bad, but like at the end of the day, like they are two very, very similar individuals. And I really liked how they played with that line of like, where's the line between good and evil?
Yeah.
Especially like with the cops who don't trust Batman yet, and they don't like the vigilante aspect.
Their eyes, Batman's evil, just as guilty.
Right.
Yeah.
He has,
I mean, he doesn't kill.
That's something I would have liked for them to play with a little more.
Yeah.
But I think just keeping it subtle and like in the background was a really cool idea.
Yeah. No, it was good.
Mm-hmm. One movie that this really reminded me of was The Joker, though, in the sense that like it was a very new take on a pretty, I don't want to say an old story, but like
it's just been
a character that we're very familiar with, and giving a new and this like very dark and gritty vibe.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on like The Joker?
I liked it.
It's been a minute.
I liked seeing more of like the actual like mental draw on his character, because like I mean like you don't like anytime the Joker's been portrayed, like you could tell he's crazy, like he's not okay, but also like you don't see the buildup of his day-to-day life. It's just like, hey, he's bad, he's got the green hair, like he's evil, like that's Joker, like Joker, you see him like he's blowing something up. Like no, I liked the like psychopathic kind of like mental like slow build of like how you just see him like just get destroyed day-to-day life. Like his life sucked, man. Like, yeah, you kind of get pushed off the edge.
Yeah. As a whole, I think I liked it less than most people. I my biggest problem with it was that if they left the whole like Wayne Gotham City thing, if they renamed all the characters and they took out all the Wayne stuff, they could have called it literally anything and it would have been the same.
Would have done just as well.
Like it wouldn't have been any different. But like I feel like they knew that it wasn't the Joker. Like they knew that they could. That's how it was, and so they threw in just a bunch of random Batman references and like Thomas Wayne is his father stuff. Like,
right.
I thought that took away from it. But overall, like, I don't know. These two movies had very similar vibes, and like, do you think that this is a direction that DC is going to go forward with? Because I mean, without question, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is leaps and bounds above DC, and
What do you mean?
I've heard a lot of people talk about how like, oh, they hate DC movies, and I feel like that's not a fair assessment to say because I mean DC and Warner Brothers tried their DCEU, and I mean it's still going,
Still trying. Yeah,
it's definitely not quite up to par, but like
nowhere near.
I mean I've seen people you said like, hey, have you seen the Nolan Batmans? They say no, I don't like DC movies, but like that's a totally separate thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, so is this, but like, so do you think this is something that DC is going to push more forward with? Just they're going to have more one-off, like dark and gritty type of things? Or do you think this is something they might introduce like into the DCEU with some of those characters?
I don't know. I think it could go either way. Honestly, I feel like they could let these movies where like you get Pattinson's Batman, you get the Joker kind of like standalone, where you just get these. They're great films. They're done really well. Some people don't like them. Some people do like them. Whatever, but they're not tied into that Justice League universe. You're not going to see Aquaman show up randomly. You're not going to have them ever meet the Flash. Like, I think I really think depending on how they handle this next, the Flash movie, the whole Flashpoint thing, because you're gonna see other Batmans. You're gonna see them kind of have the idea of, oh, we can cross timelines. They can do whatever they want at that point. It's kind of like where Marvel stands with their whole multiversal, everything's opening up. Like everyone's going to expand that. Honestly, I hope not. I would be fine if like Robert Pattinson's Batman, if Matt Reeves' Batman, the Batman never had anything to do with the Flash. We don't never see Wonder Woman come down. Like, no, let that be his own universe, if anything, like sure. But like, no, I mean, like, I think they should take those characters that they've already kind of meshed together, have that be their DCEU, let them go with whatever mix and multiversal thing they want to do, timeline crossing they want to do, but like keep some movies separate. I think they should, because then.
I think they will. Like, I mean, Robert Pattinson in an interview was asked, like, do you think like Superman will show up in this universe? And he said, yeah. I mean, I guess if Superman didn't fly and shoot lasers out of his eyes and wear bright blue and red costume, like, because that's not the universe it's in. I don't think Robert Pattinson's Batman will ever meet Ezra Miller's Flash. But like, do you think tonally and like the vibe of things like Matt Reeves' Batman and Tom Phillips' as the Joker, do you think those kind of, that style of movie might make its way into like their big continuity?
I would love to see that. Like, honestly, like even if it was just as like dark and gritty as like the Batman, like give us like a dope, like, I mean, like they could redo Aquaman, sure. Like, give us a good Aquaman. Give us a good Wonder. I mean, like Wonder Woman was like, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst.
I think Wonder Woman was actually
Wonder Woman was good, but like they could redo those characters. But like, it kind of comes down to those things. Like, honestly, I think it'd be cool if they did. I don't think they ever will though, because they're not gonna have two separate like Justice League universes going. Like I want. Like you wouldn't have two extended universes. Like, I mean, maybe you would. Maybe you'd have like a Matt Reeves like universe, and then you would have like a Zack Snyder universe of like.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Matt Reeves is getting his own.
Yeah.
He's already. I mean, it's already been announced. It's being developed. Like you have the Batman, and then you have Arkham Asylum and the Penguin show.
Yeah, prequel. Which like, and like those are definitely going to be good. Like HBO is known for having. They're going to have budgets. Like he's going to have a budget for his shows. It's going to be a legit show. It's not going to be like a CW kind of mix up of a show. Like it's going to be well done, but also like Like I said, honestly, I think it'd be dope. I'd be all for it if Matt Reeves makes his own universe. Like, go for it. Zack Snyder can keep his. Like, he can do that.
I mean, I don't know. Zack Snyder.
I don't want them to. Well, I'm not saying. I'm just saying those characters. Those characters he's played with. Yeah, his one movie, his Justice League, like those Justice League characters.
He did because did he do Batman versus Superman? I know he did Man of Steel.
No, yeah, he didn't do Batman versus Superman. I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure he did. But anyway, I would like to see more of that kind of style.
He did it.
I like to see more of that style in the main like continuity. I haven't really kept up with a lot of the DC EU movies, mostly because I've read reviews and I just don't feel like wasting my time, especially with Wonder Woman 1984. But also, I didn't watch that because I was boycotting HBO Max for a little bit.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was very upset with you when you watched it that one time. But yeah, I don't know. Like, what about just like in general? Like, would you? And I think we're kind of starting to see Marvel go in this direction too. Especially with Moon Knight coming out and seeing some of the things that they're potentially doing. With Disney finally reacquiring the Netflix shows
that are now scrubbed from Netflix no more.
Yes, I really want to know. What the background of that deal looks like because I don't know. I want to look at the numbers.
Disney Plus was in the talks 6 years ago, right?
How much did Netflix pay to make these shows versus how much Disney paid? Because I feel like Netflix probably put in a majority of the work, and then Disney that's what I'm saying. I feel the rights now for it, which is kind of ridiculous.
I feel like they were always going to get someone had to have known they were always going to get those rights. Because now, honestly thinking about it, I've never thought about this until right now. I don't know why. It just popped in my head. But you tell me when they originally did Daredevil, it was the first one they did that came out. You tell me Disney Plus wasn't in the works? I had no idea. I guess Disney didn't acquire. No, they had Marvel at that time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it would have been you tell me Disney Plus wasn't under wraps, not currently being worked on, where they were maybe let's say the idea that they were gonna buy out Netflix in general or something.
Well, I mean, Daredevil came out a long time ago.
What, 6 years ago? Was it 10 years ago? Am I tripping?
It wasn't that long.
What just came out, or what came out that I was oh, that's funny that they said that. I remember I sent that in the chat, and I was LOL, this meme would be funny if that movie came out that long ago, and you were that movie did come out 10 years ago.
Oh gosh,
I can't remember what it was.
I was dude, you're an idiot, because you were well, it's came out yesterday. I don't get this, and I was no.
Yeah,
this has been out for several years.
I feel so dumb. I want to see. Hold on.
I would
2015. So we're pushing 7 years.
I mean, let's think. Okay, go back 7 years ago. The only streaming service was Netflix. Really, with any
Hulu existed.
Hulu,
I think.
yeah.
But Hulu was also oh, you didn't watch that on TV last night. Come watch it today.
Well, right. So the problem with that is because it came out 7 years ago. Cable was still a thing.
Yeah,
streaming wasn't the way it was. So I mean,
cable satellite that was still going strong too.
I mean, maybe Disney had an idea to do a streaming service, but at the time it made more sense just to go with Netflix.
That's true. But see yeah. I don't know. I feel Netflix definitely, hands down, lost so much in this whole thing. Because
Netflix is doing just fine.
Well, no, I think they're doing just fine. But I'm just saying, in the whole Disney deal of that, if you actually look at it, I bet they put in a stupid amount of money to make this, and they did good. I would say they did good. Daredevil did good. I liked the first season. We were just talking Jessica Jones. The Defenders sucked. Iron Fist sucked. Luke Cage was interesting to watch. Just because, honestly, I honestly didn't know, much about those characters until I watched, we were watching, I was with, the kids, with, Lizzie's family, and they were watching is it, Amazing Spider-Man, the cartoon? No, what is it? There's a cartoon that was, on Disney or something, and it has, Spider-Man, White Tiger, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Nova. And that's the team. And I was yo, this is kind of a sick little group. And I watched that and then Luke Cage came out and I was okay, this is kind of dope. But but that's I thought they were okay. Netflix did okay. I think they did a good job on the majority of them, except for Iron Fist sucks.
So do you see Marvel doing something like Matt Reeves' Batman, where, I mean, with any character, are there any characters that you would like to see get the Batman treatment from Marvel?
I mean, maybe, but I feel like it's gonna go in reverse. Like for example, like sure, take Daredevil. Like Disney just reacquired it. Obviously, you can go watch. They didn't change any episodes. They didn't change anything that's already been done. Daredevil for some shows is considered a pretty like dark take on a superhero in some scenes. It was, like I said, it was done good, but with the whole like multiversal thing, obviously we saw Matt Murdock, saw Charlie Cox's Daredevil, like or not Daredevil, we saw his Matt Murdock like in Spider-Man: No Way Home, so we know he's in that universe. I don't know if he'll be as dark. I feel like it's going to go opposite. Like Daredevil at its time, like when it first came out, that was the Batman. Now with the mix, it's going to go kind of like not as dark.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because you're right. Like
I think it's going to be a flip
with Disney Plus bringing those shows into like with Disney getting those shows on their streaming service, but then also like I mean initially it was a part of the universe. Like there are mentions of the Battle of New York and the things that are going on Sokovia. Stan Lee has cameos subtly in all of them.
Yeah.
So Marvel is kind of doing a bit of a cop out, really, and like there's automatically putting these darker toned stories into their universe. I'd be really interested to see like.
I'm just worried. The only reason I'm like a little worried, kind of in a sense, is just because when you like Hawkeye, okay, Kingpin, same actor, completely different character to a sense. I mean, he was very, big dude, definitely like dark attention. I mean, he was the same, but like his power, I mean, man was toned down. He got hit by a car, went through a building, and then was like hurt. Like, dude, he was like pushing buildings down in Daredevil. Like this man was like a unit, like completely different take on the character in a sense. Like he was definitely like dumbed down.
I would disagree. I mean, yeah, I've heard that exact argument a lot, and here's why I disagree. Number one, Wilson Fisk is just a dude. Like he doesn't have superpowers. He's just a really
he's
strong
literally
dude.
just a unit. Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing is like I would like to take someone like The Rock, someone who's ripped or whatever. And I would like to have them get hit by a car and run into a building, get up, continue to fight, and then get blown up in the face with an arrow, and then get up and
be
like,
fine.
and still be fine.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
people are talking about how underpowered he is.
For a guy that has no powers, technically, sure. In Hawkeye, I guess he's just a little more realistic than. But I still think it's like I don't know. It's just that like not saying that like. Just forget about like kind of like sure like the whole episode like what happened in those shows, but like just the way it was like in Daredevil he's portrayed as someone who almost has like superhuman ability. I mean he's literally can't be taken out. Like he is like crazy. He's a unit. And then in Hawkeye, he just seemed a little underwhelmed compared to what he was in Daredevil. And so that's why I'm just scared some of the other characters are going to come up and they'll be like, when you think about it. I mean, like when you think about it, Hawkeye is a normal dude with a bow and arrow. I mean, he's been portrayed great the entire time because like it really doesn't ever push past that. Like he literally is a dude with a bow and arrow. He knows that. He acknowledges that. And like, sure, he does like extra crazy things that not the normal person would do. So I
mean, comic book version of Hawkeye has
he's got the
enhanced
control,
abilities.
He can't control the arrows, but he can.
No.
What's his thing? Or it's just like his
he just has like super soldier serum type stuff.
Oh,
it's not like the same, but he just has like body enhancements. Same for Black Widow. Like she's not just some chick. Like, she actually has. But that's the comic book version. So let's say Marvel decides to keep all of the Netflix shows within the universe, and they like to keep the tone of it all. Can they have like Daredevil? In the sense that we're like we know him from those shows, and let's say Spider-Man suit up and team up. Like, how would it work to have the super dark and gritty version, super dark and like gritty character meet with someone who's not, or even to go back more towards the topic, like the Matt Reeves' Batman meeting like Aquaman from the DCEU. Like, is there a world where these two styles can combine and everyone be happy?
I would say Disney could do it if they wanted to, like right now, only because like No Way Home, like Spider-Man got like his whole like life rocked. Like that boy's not okay. Like he could go dark. He could stop holding punches. Like he could go dark. No one would bat an eye, honestly. Like they could do that. They could let your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, if he were to pull up to Daredevil and be like, hey, like, let's go like do something.
I think in that example, if they were to do that, let's say Spider-Man 4, it was like that was the plot. I feel like that would completely destroy
who Spider-Man was.
It would just destroy the purpose of having Andrew and Toby be in that movie.
Yeah,
because that's where he was going. But because they were able to be
Toby
there, and because Andrew Garfield
right.
was able to save MJ, and because Toby was able to stop him from killing Goblin,
they are not going to go that path. Yeah, that's fair.
So, but I mean, I don't know. To answer that question though, like I think that would be interesting to see, or have like Kate Bishop. Like Hawkeye was a very lighthearted show.
Yeah,
have like
a very dark moment.
Kate Bishop like go crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Or like take even further, I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that was also a lighthearted show, but like would it still make sense to have a Winter Soldier like prequel where it's Bucky as the Winter Soldier pre Captain America, the Winter Soldier? I said the Winter Soldier a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
So do you think that the Batman is kind of paving the way towards a new style of superhero movie?
I hope so. Like, I don't know, honestly, because like I just feel like the way that DC has done it is everyone sees their character different. Like when they direct a movie, they see it one way and they have it on screen one way, and another director is going to do their other movie totally different. Like obviously no director is the same. Like that's for sure given, but like nothing in their movies, like in their universes, is like relatively like close to being the same. Like I feel like going back, like if Aquaman was going to meet Batman, you could have Jason Momoa, you could have him in that dark suit, you could have him in the orange and green suit, whatever happens, you could do that, but it would need to be under like Matt Reeves like directing. Like I don't think it should have any. Like it would have to have a darker tone to it to be mixed well.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking like just in general, stylistically, do you think there could be, let's say, a Nightwing movie that is in the same style as the Batman?
Yeah.
Or like...
I feel like they should do it no other way.
I agree. But like, I mean, I'm just saying stylistically, do you think that we're going to see a trend that goes away from
kind of...
I mean, because with Marvel, like one of the things you see in some of the DC movies is how they try to make it more lighthearted, or
try and keep it more family friendly.
You have, I mean, every single one of these superhero movies has a car chase scene. It has an epic third act final battle. It has a villain who has been wronged by either Tony Stark or Superman, like
one or the other.
Right, like they both kind of follow the same like style, like
formula.
Same formula, right? So do you think that the formula and the style used for the Batman could become a new trend for future movies, both DC and Marvel?
For sure. I don't think Marvel would. I don't think they would. Because they know what works. Because like I feel like you could arguably say like this direction of like the Batman and even like the Joker too. Like that's a complete different like from anything we've seen in the past. I don't think Marvel would ever like just drop a movie and have people be like that was not Marvel. Like that wasn't Marvel. Like that's not even, because even when you look at like some of like just the Sony projects, like a lot of them have the same feel. Like Venom was not the greatest movie, but it still had kind of the same, like you could tell it could be in that same universe. It could be like, it could have been a Marvel movie if it wanted to. It could kind of fit in. It would be one of the suckier ones, but it could kind of fit in. No. I mean, I'm just like, I don't. It would have to. They just would never just off the rails do something totally different. They might take like an aspect or two and kind of feed something and be like, hey, let's try this. And let's get reactions from this.
I disagree with that because we got WandaVision, which was literally.
But wasn't that the first show?
It was supposed to be the second show.
Right.
The first show was supposed to be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was an extremely safe bet because it's just a movie that they made way too long.
Up into which is cool. I was cool with it.
But WandaVision ended up being the first one because WandaVision was entirely done in studio. Yeah. Or almost entirely done in studio.
Which is dope.
But I don't know. Marvel takes risks. I mean, look at Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, nobody other than diehard comic book fans had ever heard of the Guardians.
Those characters out of their head,
before James Gunn came on board. So I think they'd be willing to take a risk. And I think with Moon Knight coming up, I think that is an opportunity for them to kind of dabble.
Kind of venture out and try some things.
Style. And depending on how Moon Knight goes, maybe we'll have to have a discussion on another episode about this, but like maybe Marvel is going to play with this trend. Because Moon Knight looks really bloody, and it looks a lot darker than anything we've ever done. And it seems like that's one of the intentions behind it is we're going to do things differently, especially with the decision to change his origin a little bit and have him everything take place in London as opposed to New York,
right?
Because Moon Knight's a New York character.
Yeah, trying to split things a little bit. Yeah, I really hope it's that way. I hope they're trying new things because I'm really scared. Like we got a dope trailer. They kind of tried something new with the trailer. Like we got a little. I hoped what was like an actual sneak peek of like what the show is going to be like, but I'm also really worried where it's gonna be. It's not gonna be what we're thinking because kind of like in a sense like you were saying like we would want like a kind of like psycho thriller kind of style. Like he's got multiple personalities. Like they could go that kind of way. I feel like they would have no problem. They could have done that. They could have gone like pretty dark with that. But again, like it's Marvel. I don't know how dark they want to go. Like they'll test some little things. They'll test the bloodiness and they'll probably venture out a bit with this show, but they wouldn't just be like, oh, Moon Knight, yeah, he's a weird dude. He's got issues and just like go dark with it. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I mean. Like they would never, even as it would be one of their shows, I don't think they would do like a whole project, a whole movie or a whole show on just something with a totally different like pace. It's gonna be different and it's gonna have some things that they're sure gonna venture out on and like try. But like I was hoping it would be like dark. And like same with like Multiverse of Madness, like there's going to be so much going on with that movie. And it didn't Elizabeth Olsen say, I don't know if it was an interview or what, at one point she was like, mentioned something about this feeling like a horror movie. Or maybe I'm wrong.
No, so when Sam Raimi came on, he said that because Sam Raimi is known for making horror movies, he said they were going to take a darker approach.
Yes. Which after the trailers, you could definitely tell it's going to be dark. It's going to have some like kind of different. I think it's going to have a lot of things that are just going to be thrown at us that we're never going to see coming. Really, I'm hoping it does. Like, I really want to sit down and be like, I would have never thought that person or that thing happened. Like, they really did that. Like, I want to walk out kind of being shocked. But like that's the thing is, again, I feel like they could have gone so dark with that movie. I don't think they're gonna. Like, I think they're gonna play with some things, but I don't think they're gonna do. I don't think they would just totally try a whole new formula, whole new.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah.
But I do know that I really liked the way that Matt Reeves did the Batman as a whole.
100%.
It's my favorite Batman movie. I know that there might be some debate on that. So other people might have some other opinions.
With it being your favorite Batman movie, is that your favorite Batman though?
It is my favorite Batman, but I think it also depends on how are you defining Batman? Because like, are we talking just Batman, or is Batman like
Batman and Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, it is Bruce Wayne. Because when it comes to that, like
when
I like the idea of where Bruce Wayne in this universe might be going, but I haven't seen enough to know. I think yes, it is probably my favorite Batman, just because again I don't love the Nolan movies.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's other Batmans. I mean, Adam West is iconic.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to see. I would like more Adam West style superhero movies.
Get the drawn on eyebrows.
Yes, with
bright blue cowl,
with the booms and pows flying on the screen. I saw a clip where it was like he had a bomb and he was like,
running around. He's like, can't throw it in the water because there was like people swimming. He like tried to throw it in there. It's like that would explode, like going back and forth. Like that was just the iconic.
I want superhero movies to be fun again.
Cheesy classic. Yeah.
I don't want I'm tired of
have shark repellent for a reason. You know, like
Maybe this is another discussion we're gonna have. Is like I'm tired of superhero movies
being too realistic.
Not being too realistic. I'm tired of them being like the world is going to end. And now it's gotten to a point where it's like the multiverse is going to end. Like, I just want catch the bodega bandit. Like, just like
the Condiment King. You know, did you hear about that?
No, I know.
That's Robert Pattinson's favorite Batman villain.
I mean,
it's in the comics.
Like Polka Dot Man.
Yeah,
like we got him, I guess. But like,
dude, and he was that was something. But yeah,
as much as I would like to see more of these dark and grittier tones, I would also like to just throw in like just some goofy stuff, you know?
I feel like that. Like, I feel like that's like having both platforms of like you could stream a show or you can drop like theatrical release of a movie. Like you could have a movie, or you can like do a show. Like I like the shows and how they've done things, but like, yeah, I feel like you have that platform. Like you could drop something stupid. Like you could get your actors. They would do it. Mm-hmm. They would do it. Like you could put Robert Pattinson in like a dumb little suit. He would do it. Like seeing his enjoyment, like I think he would. seeing just all of his interviews and like everything he said about this movie, and like honestly, he did great, and I think he really did enjoy it. Like you said, he would keep playing Batman as, you know, if they asked him, he feels like he would do it, and you know, like cool, like that's dope. Mm-hmm. I feel like if they were like, hey, would you want to do this? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that, but like I feel like if they wanted to, like I feel like they should. They could do those cheesy like fun little shows again.
Yeah,
like, yeah, and draw like that's the thing. You don't have to like probably have too big a budget. You don't have to risk something in a theater. You don't have to make a big deal about it. You just drop it on a show. Drop it on a streaming service.
Yeah. Well, this was a fun conversation. I enjoyed talking to you today.
Yeah, dude, it was good.
The Batman, and
it's fun. Good movie.
Future superhero movies. Thank you for watching and for tuning in to the Popcorn Hangover. Hope to see you next time.
That's dope. It actually worked out really well. That's fun.